Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Vilic Law SEQFC preview show. I'm Darren, and we've got a couple of newbies with us tonight. But before we get to that, we've got Tony Jorkis. Good evening, Tony.
Good evening. How are we?
Good. Great weather for ducks, isn't it?
I think we'll be going to 20 games this weekend.
No, we might be previewing games that will be played further in the calendar, but we'll press ahead. You never know what could happen.
You never know.
Yes, we've got Krez Beck, who's the assistant coach at Capalaba. That's correct, isn't it, Krez?
Yeah, it is, mate. That's right. Yep.
Yep, and got you on the show after a fantastic result Monday night, a 3-2 victory over Lions, nonetheless. The place must be buzzing at the moment.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, it's very happy scenes in and around the grounds, and obviously within the clubhouse. So it's certainly a positive step forward for the new year. But as we all know, it's still very early days, and we can't govern the round two for a long-term season. That's for sure.
One win does not make a season, and one loss doesn't make a season either, which is why it will still remain positive for Danny, who's the Holland Park coach. Danny, it's Grigic, is that right?
Close. Gnjidic. Yep, spot on.
All right, I guarantee I'll get it wrong throughout the entire show, but I'll get it. Hopefully we'll sneak it, we'll jag it once or twice. All right, let's get cracking. Tony, let's start with you. Let's have a look at last weekend's results. And you were watching the Olympic match against Magpies, and plucky Magpies narrowly went down to Olympic.
3-2. They played decent football actually up north. So I reckon they're going to be, and I said that last week, going to be very hard to beat up there. So you look at their results now, that could have been 2 from 2. They were playing with 10 men after 56 minutes as well. So they stuck it to Olympic. So.
Yep. The other big result was Brisbane Roar, a massive win 4-0 over Sunshine Coast Wanderers. It happens every year. They start out great, and then their players get plucked off.
We said that last week that they were in for a big season, for a big start. So yeah, the surprising result for me for the weekend was how close the Strikers only got beat 3-2.
Yes, a lot of people were commenting that they were surprised at how narrow the loss was. So did you take that one in?
Nah. I thought it would be. I was watching the Mitchelton game at the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Peninsula Power, of course, had a 3-1 victory away at Redlands. Logan Lightning, a 2-0 win over East. Good start for Logan after the week 1's result. And let's get to that Monday night game. Capalaba 3, Lions 2. Krez, tell us all about it, mate.
Oh, look, I think it's just one of those things where, we had probably a 15-minute spell that we really did take our chances. For those that did watch the match, I think there was a considerable amount of chances by both sides early on. But yeah, there just became a period there where we were able to put them away. In saying that, we probably didn't have the best second half, and they really did put us under a lot of pressure. But we rode the storm, and very grateful to be sitting here now, and moving forward into this weekend against Strikers.
Of course, it was a turbulent off season for Capalaba, losing David Booth, who's
yes.
I believe now at East, if his social media posts are to be believed.
Yeah.
New coaching staff and practically a new squad as well.
Yeah, mate. It's a look. Unfortunately, we've lost Booth. He's been a long-standing member of the club. He's done a lot for the club, and we certainly appreciate everything that he has done to date for the club. And yes, also in terms of personnel, we've had an entire turnover. So it's a brand new roster. But maybe 2 under 23s we've kept within this squad, and we're just going to keep moving forward. It's a project, but we certainly believe that we can be successful this year. That's for sure.
Did you have anything to do with the recruitment of the squad?
Yeah, I did myself. Dave McAvoy, David Dunn, who also works alongside us. We've all been plucking away trying to put the diamonds in the rough. And as you've probably seen from our new squad roster, we've got a little bit of a diverse group, from seniority right down to 17-year-olds. And the way that we look at it is age is simply a number. And if you're good enough, you can play on the field on the weekend. It's as simple as that, So for us, now probably the saying that constantly goes around the dressing room and on the grounds is that attitude beats ability. And that's something that we really stand by. So.
And you brought in Kato Aochi last week. I understand he didn't play on Monday night, but does anyone know how many clubs he's had now?
I think that's a full wardrobe.
No, look, Kato's a great guy. As you know, I've known him for it have to be at least a decade now. And look, same thing. People say he's too old and he's over the hill, but he proved the first match against the Wanderers that he's still got plenty of goals in him. He's still got plenty of fight, and the people that know him know that he's got a massive heart, and he won't stop. When he gets in that field, he'll play 180 minutes if he had to. So and that's what we love about him. He's an absolute top guy.
Great to see him.
Apart from Wolves, has he ever stayed at a club more than 12 months?
Oh, that's probably not a question for me. I don't really know. But
Darren, you know, yeah, I don't think it's been at a club more than 12 months since Wolves.
Oh, since I was about to say Wolves, but
yeah, that's about the only one.
Yeah, since Wolves, he's been a bit of a journeyman, hasn't he?
He's more clubs than Tiger Woods, mate.
He might have been at Penn Power for 2 seasons.
Oh, really? I would shock me if he was.
Maybe not. Maybe that was one of the. Anyway,
Is there a club that he's missed out on yet? No.
I think he's pretty much got the south side covered and a little bit of the north side. Chris, I just want to ask you, just with that recruitment process, actually, all 3 of you should be able to answer this. How many phone calls does it take to get a player to sign?
Yeah, it's really. I think it's really dependent on the relationship and who's chasing them.
Yeah.
And the age old factor is obviously money as well. But yeah, geez, I suppose if you look at our squad, I don't think we really called anyone probably more than maybe 3 times. But a lot of the guys that we have recruited, most of them we do have a relationship with. So I think that's also made it a little bit easier from our end as well. So.
For sure. In Tony Jorkas's days, it was like, hello, how much do you want? All right, see you at the Strikers.
Well, I had a job to do, mate. I was told to win everything that was available, so there was no object.
I would say it takes 1 good phone call.
Yeah, it does. You've just got to outline what your plans are and a nice fat checkbook, and you're on your pocket.
The more pertinent question might be how long that phone call lasts.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So, Danny, tell us about your experience this season.
Look, we probably not too dissimilar to Capalaba. We've turned over a few players. We brought a number of new boys in. It was obviously my first year at Holland Park, and I'm relatively new to Brisbane, obviously, as well. So learning about what is a slightly different football culture to the one down in Melbourne. We look at, a lot of support behind the scenes at Holland Park. It's a club that's probably not focused on senior football in the last couple of years, particularly since coming into the QPL, and focused on building other parts of the club. But this year there's been a sort of conscious effort to really become more competitive at senior level and to bring some good quality young players in. And I think we've been able to do that. We've had a bit of a sort of stop-start pre-season, and we did go, and we will start the season perhaps a little bit slower. We're a little bit underdone for various reasons, but I think we'll be a lot more competitive and probably pick up a few more points than we did last year.
What was the factors that brought you up here, Danny? Was it COVID?
No. I arrived end of 2018 for work. It was a work transfer, so not football related, unfortunately. But yeah, no, it was a work matter that led us up the end of 2018, and I initially had some time with Redlands when I first arrived, and that's where I've settled. And then spent some time with St George in 2019, and then moved across to the 2020 season.
All right. Given that you were at St George, I'll get your take on the weekend's events. That must sadden you to hear about.
Yeah, look, I was actually meant to attend the game, and after the result on Friday, I wasn't all that sociable, so decided to stay home and catch most of the NPL and QPL games. But yeah, I think it's one of those where, I think the governing body, is, from what I understand, is doing its due diligence in investigating what's allegedly occurred. And I think once they do what they need to, we'll find out what, if anything, comes of it. I think all those types of claims are always disappointing to hear. Knowing the people at St George, there's good people there, and I think we need to be mindful of what sort of things are being said about a whole club, and if there's individuals there that are doing the wrong thing and behaving in the wrong way, then they should be held accountable. But let's let Football Brisbane and Football Queensland do what they need to do.
We'll have more on that on the Football Brisbane show. But let's get to your game on Friday night. You took on Southside Eagles, and you went down 2-1.
Yeah, look, we did, and it was it was a classic game. I think when you've been involved in the game as long as I have as a player and now as a coach, you can see the way a game unfolds. Sometimes you for all intents and purposes, you're in control of the game. Southside started well, got a penalty early, and then we managed to equalise a short time after. It was an eventful first half because about half an hour in, they had a player sent off. And then, really sort of held their own in relation to sitting back and soaking up the pressure and seeing if they'd catch us on the counter, and they did that a couple of times. But, yeah, look, we controlled the game. We looked like it was a matter of time before we reached their quite tight and hard-working defence. And it looked like we set it for a draw. I think we sort of run out of legs a little bit towards the end, and then conceded, sort of a goal from a scrappy end to a corner. So, we would have been disappointed with a point. In the end, we didn't take anything, but it's something that we learn from, and will hopefully be better for the experience going forward.
Brisbane City had a 3-0 win over Wolves, which is a good result. Rochdale Rovers had a 2-0 win over the Sunny Coast Fire. Southwest Queensland Thunder got off to a great start with a 3-0 away win at Souths. And the big game that I was at on Sunday night was Ipswich Knights against Mitchelton. Now, let me set the scene for you here. They were all set to play, and one of the lights went out on the main field. So Mitchelton offered to switch the game to the synthetic field, and Ipswich Knights initially said, no, we don't want to play on that. And they said, well, you can either play now or come back on Tuesday night. And they said, all right, let's play. So,
it's worked out well for them.
And it worked out great for the Knights. Knights looked like a team that had been playing on a synthetic pitch their entire careers. Mitchelton were the ones that were having the first touch issues. So it was quite bizarre to watch. And Ipswich Knights scored some spectacular goals.
Yeah.
It was great. They were really good to watch. And if you saw my interview with Oggy after the game, he was absolutely buzzing with the performance, and he should be. So a great start to the season for Knights.
They looked very quick, didn't they?
They did, yeah.
They were very sharp.
They look really young, and they look like both sets of players have got a lot of filling out to do. But, a lot of pace in that Knights team. And I'll tell you, the banter. I haven't heard such good banter at a game for a very long time. So, get to a Knights game and have a listen to their bench as the game progresses. They've got skills. All right, let's get back to the NPL and have a look at the fixtures this weekend for round 3. When my computer wants to turn over, we've got the Battle of the Lions. Lions FC up against Brisbane Roar. That should be an interesting game, Tony.
Well, Lions draw points. They don't lose 2 in a row too often.
That is
true.
true.
Bounce back factor there, but the Raw youth side push up as well. So
Yeah, without even looking at the other games, I'm going to say that's the match of the round. Gold Coast Knights are taking on Magpies Crusaders. Moreton Bay are hosting Olympic.
Yeah,
Game
that'll be
2.
the one.
Yeah. Wanderers are hosting Logan Lightning. Peninsula Power up against Gold Coast United. Strikers up against Capalaba. And Easts up against Redlands. Krez, tell us about your game against Strikers on the weekend. When will you start sitting down and hatching a plan for that game?
Mate, look, it's already started. We started some time back. And we were actually down there watching on the weekend, actually, against Gold Coast Knights. And, you know, look, I think a lot of people have, you know, put them in the relegation position at the very early onset. And, you know, the guys have got a lot of fight on them. It is a young squad, but they've got the likes of Mustafa Jafari up top. And we all know that he can score a goal when he gets an opportunity. So I think it would be very silly for us to, you know, hop on the bandwagon and just think that, you know, we can beat Lions or we can beat anyone. That's certainly not the case. So we've got to be very well switched on, and you know, we will be going right up until kickoff, ensuring that, you know, we're on par and our tactics are set, you know, for the match itself. So yeah.
Just out of interest, did you take note of the formation Cozzy played?
Yeah, we did actually. Yeah. So to us, it looks like the 4-4-2. What we believed the season Lions was set up with as well. But things can change quite quickly, you know, so they could be orchestrating a plan as we speak. You know, John Cosmina is a very well-seasoned veteran of the game, and I don't think he's going to sit in his hands and be waiting around for us, that's for sure.
On the weekend, are you going to be sort of having a little look over going, that's Cozzy?
Yeah, look, to be fair, I remember actually watching as a young boy. My dad used to take me down to Perry Park, and I've actually got one of his old playing cards from the old NSL days. It might be worth my week taking that down and maybe even getting it signed.
That'd be nice. That'd be nice. You'd be interesting to see if you win the game, whether he'd sign it afterwards.
Look, he is a battler, that's for sure. But he is also a gentleman. So I'd like to think he would, but I might have to persuade him maybe after the game.
Yeah, Chris, I don't want to put you on the spot here, but hopefully you heard the fixtures that I just ran through, or you might have them in front of you. Any other games stick out for you there?
Look, I'm really interested to see, like you said earlier about the Raw and Lions. It's going to be interesting to see how Darren Symes' men react after Monday night's match. I certainly know that Symes won't be taking it, you know, very lightly, but for me personally, I think this is probably the best I've seen the Raw youth, I suppose, from a physical standpoint, fitness, in recent years. And I think Chris Grossman and the whole academy have really got those boys tuned up for a very successful year. So I'm interested to see how they continue to progress as a young squad.
Should be interesting. All right, let's have a look now at the FQPL 1, as it's now called, round 2. Danny, you've got another Friday night game up against Wolves.
Yeah, look, and hopefully it goes ahead. Yeah, look, I obviously went to watch that game live on Saturday night, Brisbane City and Wolves. And look, Wolves held their own for a long time in that game. They really sort of took the game to Brisbane City and had them on the back foot for a large part of that first half. Interesting watching through some of the FQPL highlights that are on YouTube now. Not sure how they who does the cutting of those highlights, but gee, they miss a lot, I can tell you, across all the games. But yes, I don't think those highlights really did Wolves any favours. I thought they were in that game for a long time, and 2 goals at the death probably flattered Brisbane City a little bit. I think it was a 3-0 game. So look, Wolves are a different. This year, they've got the 3 boys up front who were dynamite last year. Obviously, one of them's Crest there at bar, and he's doing quite well. And the other 2 boys, obviously, with at Lions and Carlton, doing good things at Redlands as well. But the boys that brought in, obviously, Antonio Murray's an established player, even for this level, and the Japanese boy that they've got wide left, he's very impressive as well. I think they picked him up from one of the Gold Coast league teams. He was dangerous all night against Brisbane City. So look, that'll be a tough game for us on Friday, but it's an opportunity for us to try and make up for last Friday's game.
realise you're only one game in, but it's noticeable when you go to Whites Hill, just the difference in the size of the fields compared to all the other grounds. Do you make any tactical changes to your team? Do you play any differently as a result of the differences?
Yeah, look, it's funny you say that because Wolves is probably considered one of the bigger pitches as far as I understand it. So, yeah, look, ours is, I think width-wise, sometimes the angles might be a bit deceiving on where you watch the game from or on the camera. I think width-wise, we're not too similar to most of the probably a bit shorter meters either way. So yeah, look, you adjust to the conditions, whether it be pitch size or the surface and all those sorts of things. So absolutely, you take that into account. There's a particular way we play at home. If we need to adjust that away from home, then yeah, we'll absolutely take that into account.
Yeah, I'm going to get a bit nerdy here, and apologies in advance if you don't have the answer. But I was talking to a coach on the weekend who has a synthetic field, and they have the GPS systems in their shirts, and they noticed that when they play on the synthetic field, the players run a kilometre extra when they play on the synthetic pitch than when they do on the grass. Do you notice any differences? Do you have that sort of technology that you can sort of correlate and say, well, on our field, we actually run less or more?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Look, we've looked at GPS technology for our purposes, and I think, in all fairness, from a resourcing point of view and the time and effort that your coaching staff have, we probably focus on other elements of our game rather than the GPS. So it's not something that and I have used it in the past. Look, I think it's an interesting discussion to have that, whether that pitch perhaps, has an impact on the players' energy levels and willingness to run more, given the type of surface they're playing on. It's an interesting discussion to have, I think. But I'm probably not surprised to hear that. I have coached and played or coached teams and played on games on synthetic pitches before, and look, there might be a willingness to maybe run more. There could be.
Could also be just the faster pitch means that you get through more play as a result. Anyway, we'll leave that there. Let's get to the other games that are occurring this weekend, weather permitting. The Thunder are hosting Ipswich Knights. That should be a fascinating game. Mitchelton up against Brisbane City. Southside hosting Rochdale Rovers. The Sunny Coast Fire are playing Western Pride, and South United have the bye. Tony, what catches your eye there?
Brisbane City, Mitchelton.
Yeah.
I think Mr. Panisi has to do something there. You wouldn't want 2 losses on the trot. Exactly.
And maybe it was just the game was just a flash in the pan, but if they play like they did last weekend, they could be in a spot of bother up against Brisbane.
They're going to get ripped apart if they play like that.
Yeah. Which eyes have you got? Which games have you got your eyes on?
Yeah, in addition to that one, I think the Thunder and Knights game is going to be a good one. I caught the Thunder game on Sunday against South. Look, again, probably similar to the Brisbane City game. I reckon South put in a really good fight there, and it was maybe a little bit harsh on them. They had a couple of good chances, hit the crossbar at 0-0. I think Thunder's quality, maybe a little bit of nous and experience, got them over the line in the end in the key moments. So that'll be a good battle with Ipswich Knights. Andy, a lot of time for Andy. I think he coaches his teams really well, and they were really, really, really impressed. I watched the second part of that, thankfully, because it was off late. They were just clinical, weren't they? And look, but I think Mitchie will learn from that. So I fancy them to maybe get something at home to Brisbane City. But I think that that Thunder and Knights game will be worth tuning into.
Very good. All right. Now we've also got the third competition in the Football Queensland banner this year. The FQPL is FQPL 2 is all set to commence. 4 fixtures, 8 teams in the competition. Caboolture are hosting Sanford Rangers. Magic United are hosting Virginia. North Star up against Grange Thistle. That'll be a bit of a derby. And Coomera up against Taringa. It's going to be very interesting to see how this competition pans out. Danny, the Magic United squad, we've seen some of the players filtering through. Do you know much about their team this season? Have you been sort of seeing their names and going, yeah, I know that guy?
A little bit. My understanding is they've sort of brought boys in from the Gold Coast NPL clubs that were on the fringes of first team, probably, pushing out of the 20s or 23s as it is now and looking for senior football. And from the footage that I saw in their FFA Cup game, where they won 7-2, they look quite impressive. So I think they might surprise some teams this year.
Tony, is this Caboolture's competition to lose?
Yes. I said last week that just grab the trophy, give it to them. Don't worry about it. Magic might be the ones to watch, but I think it's going to be who are the others? Virginia, know nothing about them. North Star, up until last week, were advertising for goalkeepers and players. So there you go.
Yes, you expect there might be a few gaps within some of these squads. Where
I think Caboolture have made their intent known, no doubt about that. So I think everyone will be surprised if they don't push on. Although they did obviously get knocked out of the cup by Mogul, which was a bit of an upset a couple of weeks back. But I expect that over the course of the season they'll probably be too strong in that competition. But I expect maybe someone like Grange to push them. I know they're ambitious and have got a pretty settled squad and always been a strong team in the BPL, so they could be the one that probably tests them most. Coomera, I think, have had significant changes and obviously lost to Logan Metro in the Cup, so they might be another that is probably going through a bit of a transition. So I think probably Grange to push Caboolture, and then maybe someone else will step up and make it interesting as well.
What about you, Krez? Will you be taking any notice of this competition, or will you be focused on the NPL?
Yeah, look, I mean, a lot of my time is absorbed into the new role, but I am very much interested to see how this does pan out. But I think, as the gents have said, I think the Grange, Magic, and Caboolture are probably the top three front runners for sure. But as we all know, there's always going to be a bit of a black horse that comes in out of nowhere and catches people by surprise. So yeah, look, I'm very much interested to see how this is going to all pan out this year, and hopefully, obviously, being successful as well for Football Queensland.
One team up, one team goes into a playoff. I think if it's the most fascinating thing will be the team at the bottom, and when they get 3/4 of the way through the season, how desperate they are to keep off that bottom spot and try and avoid that playoff.
Yeah, absolutely.
But how financial are these clubs in that competition? Even if they're in strife, they're going to have to go and buy players. How financial are they to keep going?
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. I don't have an answer for each of those clubs, but you'd think that some of them have certainly got resources that they could draw upon. I mean, Taringa wouldn't be short of a dollar.
But they haven't spent any money. Taringa never spends money, apparently.
No, but you'd think that if called upon, perhaps they could find something under the couch.
They've still got $2 notes, I reckon.
And Sanford wouldn't be short either, I'd say.
Interesting first game, Sanford and Caboolture. Isn't Paul Brown coaching up there?
He is.
Against Terry? Yeah.
Should be great. All right. Well, let's hope that the weather stays off and we get at least some games in this weekend. Otherwise, it's going to be a very drab affair. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you. Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. And hopefully we'll all have you, Krez and Danny, we'll have you back at some point during the season. You've got the taste for it now, so hopefully we can draw on your knowledge again at some point.
Fantastic. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you, as usual.
Cheers.
All right. This has been the Village Law SEQFC preview show. We'll see you next week. Don't forget to look out for that Football Brisbane show. Should be a bit tasty this week.